All right, shift 2022 has happened in the last week. A major shift in the real estate market that's going to stay with us for a little bit of time. So we're going to walk through what does that really mean? Like, where are we right now? We're going to talk then down the road. We're going to talk about for the buyers. What does that mean for the buyers going forward? Talk about what does it mean for the sellers going forward. And we're going to talk about our thoughts about what's going to happen in the market on the whole. Now, this is going to be 4 kind of in-depth looks. So we're going to break them down so they're a little more bite-sized because this is very important stuff going on in the world of real estate. So we want you to have a very in-depth look at it, but also we want to drive you crazy with doing stats and all that stuff. So we're going to break it into 4 parts, one every day this week. Today, we're just starting with a look at where are we right now. First off, this is Steve, Malone Realty Group, EXP in the Atlanta area. All right, so let's talk about it. The market has shifted. It is a discernible shift. Let's talk about kind of what led up to all of this. Obviously, COVID kind of turned the whole real estate world upside down. Things were very crazy. A whole lot of buyers, not a lot of sellers. The buyers were really fueled by low interest rates. Sellers, they pulled out of the market because they didn't want anybody in their house. Okay, that created a huge logjam of buyers and a huge lack of inventory that stayed with us for a while. Last summer, we saw the first hiccup that kind of showed where things actually slowed down a little bit and thought, all right, might be returning to a little bit of normalcy. The beginning part of this year, it really ramped back up. The buyers came in, especially on the thought that rates were going to go up. Sellers are starting to creep up a little bit, but not fast enough. So February, March, and April were crazy. In real estate, you're talking about 60, 70 offers on houses, 100,000 over asking price. It was bananas. Like that, it snapped. Late April. And we saw the numbers. We saw it firsthand because we had a house in Beaufort that had a whole bunch of offers. Just a couple weeks later, same price house in Suwanee. It was much, much, much fewer on the number of buyers and offers. So you knew something discernible happened. Well, rates were creeping up, and we had talked about that crazy market was going to be coming down a little bit. We shifted into like the next gear down, but we knew there was going to be another shift as we got into summertime. Okay, typically once you get towards the end of July, beginning of August time period, people are already settled in schools. You're going to see a lot of buyers pull out. And we kept talking about that. That was going to be an interesting time, especially with the interest rates going up. The number of buyers are starting to pull out because there just weren't as many homes, or the rates were so high, and weren't as many buyers in the market because they couldn't really afford it. So we knew there was going to come a moment where everybody kind of pulled out. We really thought it would be the end of July. Then June 10th happened. Friday, June 10th. What happened on Friday, June 10th? On Friday, June 10th, the Feds came out with the latest inflation numbers. Now, the inflation numbers spiked in March. In April, they were down a little bit. So the Feds thought that all the work that they were doing to kind of hedge inflation and raise the rates was working because inflation was down a little bit. Inflation was up higher at 8.5% in May than they were anticipating. And when the people in charge of the rates, in charge of the numbers, things don't happen the way that was anticipated, that freaks everybody out. And that's what happened. So the Feds immediately came out and said, we're going to crank up the rates probably 0.75 of a point when we get into Monday or Tuesday. That sent the mortgage rates shooting up. There were even some people thinking they would do a whole basis point in one sitting, which is just crazy town to think that they were going to raise the rates that much. 0.75 of a point is still a pretty substantial jump in the interest rate, the Fed rate. Now, the mortgage rate don't necessarily mirror the Fed rate, but they run in tandem, and the mortgage rate really kind of runs in anticipation what the Feds were going to do. So the Feds knew that they were going to raise the rates. Everybody knew that the Feds were going to raise the rates, so the mortgage rates shot up before the Feds did anything. If anything, people were worried they'd go up a full point. When they only went up 0.75 of a point, mortgage rates actually relaxed a hair beginning part of last week. But the rates right now are somewhere in the low 6s. 6% seems to be the magic number that got buyers really out of the pool. And you can tell it because we had a listing in a neighborhood in Suwanee the week before, went on the market. We had a whole bunch of showings. We had like 13 offers on it, and they went under contract. The very next weekend, so that was the weekend of June 10th, very next weekend after the craziness started last week, so this past weekend, only a handful of showings. I really only had a couple of offers on the house, which is pretty crazy. And you look online at some of those tools, some of those websites that everybody uses to look at homes to show how many views people have, how many saves, whatever. It's all down. talk to other agents who are selling houses. All their showings are down. All their offers are down in just 1 week. Buyers, that 6 was the magic number where the buyers that were on the fence said, we're just going to pull out. So last week in real estate, you really saw a major shuffling of buyers stepping away from the table, and that lull that we were expecting to hit late July, early August is here. And I don't see anything that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks that's going to change that to give you a little bump going into that, that lull. So we're in this lull for a while. You also look forward and kind of look at where the inflation numbers are. More than likely over the next couple of months, the inflation numbers might tick up a little bit more. That might give you another bump in mortgage rates. So even though the mortgage rates are high or higher than they have been at 6.25, they have a little bit of ways to go from here. So that's where we are right now. That shift of buyers out of the market and relaxing of buyers has happened. Okay, so what does that mean for where we are right now? Where we are right now, we are still in a seller's market. There are very, 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 very few homes on the market. A lot of people are not selling their house because they've got a house in the 2s or maybe low 3s as far as interest rate goes. They're not going to sell their house if they don't have to and go get a house where they're going to get a rate in the 6s. That's a lot of sellers are now saying, we're not going to make the move. So typically the only sellers in this market that are going to make a move are ones that have to make a move. And with the buyers being where they are, the buyers aren't going to make a move unless they have to make a move, unless they're going to do it strategically. And we'll talk about it over the next couple of days of what buyers need to do, what sellers need to do, and what we think is going to happen in the future. But that's where we are right now. It is still a seller's market as we look forward, okay, over the next couple of months and over the next really couple of years, okay? We talk about the number of homes on the market, days on market, months of inventory, things like that. When we look at months of inventory, that's the number of, if you didn't add any more homes, okay, and we sold everything at the rate that we're selling homes right now, how long would it take to sell everything? That's what we call months of inventory. Typically, the number like 5 or 6 is usually a balanced market where it's not a buyer's market or seller's market. Right now, we're at 1.3 in the metro Atlanta area, okay, 1.3 months of inventory, very low. Not as low as it was in February, March, and April, where it was 1.0. It was like near the record, or was the record low. It's come back up a little bit. It'll continue to trend back upwards. But at 1.3, what that means is you could triple the number of homes on the market. Triple the number of homes on the market, and you're still in a seller's market, okay? So we're still in a seller's market. So don't get it twisted. You're not setting up for home prices to go down. You're not setting up for a big collapse of real estate. This is just a release of some pressure on the market. Like if you had a pressure cooker, like my wife has at our house, when everything's done cooking, everything can kind of slowly settle, or you can hit the little vent button and it goes psh and lets a bunch of steam off. That's what happened on June 10th. Somebody hit that button and it just went psh, and a whole bunch of air got out of that pressure cooker. All right, the market's still healthy. We still have houses. They're going to be going up in value, not as much as they have the last couple of years, but they're going to continue going up in value. Buyers are still able to get, houses. There's still money there for them to get houses with loans. Obviously, the loans are higher. But as we go forward, through this summer and through the end of this year and into next year, there are obviously things that we need to talk about. So the next couple of videos, what we'll talk about tomorrow, buyers, how to position yourself in this market. The reality is this is the market you've been waiting for since before COVID. Here it is. Yeah, it's not pretty. You don't want these rates, but this is a golden opportunity to grab a house right now, okay? That buyers, sellers, you have a house. There aren't many of those. Yeah, you're not going to get 70 offers. Yeah, you're not going to get 100,000 over asking price. Is it still a good time to sell? Yes. Do you have to do some more work? Yes, but we'll talk about that. That'll be on Wednesday. And then Thursday, my prediction for what's going to happen for the rest of this year and into next year, okay? So we're going to talk about it a little bit every day. But this is your snapshot of where we are right now. Steam's been a lot off the market. We have calmed down a lot in the last week. This is not panic time, okay? This is relax time. This is reevaluate time. This is see where we are time, but it's not panic time. When it's panic time, I'll be the first one to get on this on this webcam computer thing, look you in the eye and say, it's panic time. It's not panic time, okay? If you have questions, you call me, 470-233-4409. We'll talk about it, but tomorrow we talk about buyers. Catch you then. Hey, thanks for watching the video today. If you want more information on what's going on in the real estate market, take a look at some of these videos over here that we've posted, keeping up with what, buying, selling, things that are going on in the North Georgia market. But if you want to keep up with everything that we post to our YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel down there, bottom right. That way you won't miss out on anything.